City Council. It is the evening of May 2nd, 2023, 6 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order at this time. I'd like to invite you to stand and join us in an invocation. Tonight will be led by Reverend Greg Steible from the Whidbey Presbyterian Church, and immediately following the invocation, I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Reverend Steible.
Hi, all. I want to greet you on behalf of Whidbey Presbyterian Church, but I also want to invite you to take a moment with me while I pray. Oh, Lord, my God, this last weekend, our town remembered its Dutch heritage, and I give you thanks for that history, for the gift of a town to call home, for the joy that was shared this last weekend through festivities and parades. I also want to thank you for the Irish and the Norwegian settlers of this town, and for the history of the Lower Skagit people, who also called this place home. And this evening, I ask that you would bless all who call Oak Harbor home. Bless this body gathered here. Bless our leadership with wisdom and understanding and grace. Help them in all their deliberations today. And I thank you for the beautiful place that we do call home, for the warmth of the people here, the impact that they have on the lives around us. May it continue to be a blessing for Island County, for Western Washington, and for the world for many years to come. And I pray all of this in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Steible. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, tonight's meeting is being streamed live on YouTube and Facebook and will be broadcast on cable channel 10 HD 1090 following the meeting. Attendees are participating in person and via teleconference. Guests that are included in staff presentations will be excused at the conclusion of the agenda item as appropriate. So I believe that we have a full council with the one vacancy. So we don't need to do the roll call. Okay, thank you, Julie. So I'll move right to our agenda. Are there any suggested changes to the agenda? I'm not seeing any, so the agenda will be approved as presented, and then we'll move immediately to citizen comment period. So citizens may comment at this time on consent agenda items or subjects of interest not listed on the agenda at this time. Citizens will have the opportunity to comment on the remaining agenda items during the meeting as appropriate. Citizens can also visit our website prior to our meeting for methods to submit public comment or contact the city clerk, Julie Nestor, by phone or email. When submitting comments, please include your name and address. Public comments sent anonymously will be shared with the mayor and council but will not be displayed. We have received 2 public comments since our last regular meeting. Both wrote regarding an encampment near Home Depot. Their comments are displayed on the screen now. Okay, thank you, Julie. So, are there any members of our public present who would like to speak to items not listed on the agenda or on the consent agenda? If so,
Mayor,
Yes.
we have two who have signed up.
great.
The first is Fanny Dean.
Welcome, Fanny.
Thank you. My name is Fanny Dean, 487 Regency. I live there, and I was here about a month ago to share with you guys the interest of the church purchasing the piece of land right next to us so that we will be able to have other activity besides the church in the city of Oak Harbor. And also, I remember when I said it in the meeting a little longer, that the city was discussing the airport, that they was trying to give them $100,000 down and the other $100,000 after the project was done so much. So, of course, I went and prayed. I'm like, if you guys can, somebody can contact me, y'all won't see my face, to come back again to remind you guys that it's just there now. This is summertime, the homeless, they headed back in the woods again. I see them all the time, no matter what time of day or night that I go there. And I really believe that we can do something great, in the city of Oak Harbor. So I'm asking you guys to please to do so. Next month is Juneteenth. We will be celebrating a celebration at the park here by Burger King, and everyone is invited to come. Thank you, and like I say, city need $100,000. I'm asking them to consider, letting us come up with $100,000 to purchase a piece of land next. Thank you.
Thank you, Fanny.
Mayor, next is Larry Munns.
Hello, I'm Larry Munns, 633 Southwest Waterloo Avenue in Oak Harbor. Mayor and Council, I'm here to offer letters of appreciations to 7 members of your city staff team. Those are from the Streets Department, Kevin and Aaron, as well as the Parks Department, Tally, Jamie, Dustin, Eric, and Brian R. There must be 2 Brians in the Parks Department. The letter reads, which you will get a copy of as soon as I finish. Dear Team Whidbey, on February 12th, April of this year, an energetic and dedicated team of military, civilians, and City of Oak Harbor team members gathered at Gateway Park for a day dedicated to preserving the legacy of the A-6 Intruder and the EA-6B Prowler aircraft on display there. What a superb job you all did, scrubbing and pressure washing those aircraft to make them clean again and a source of pride for our entire community. The West Coast Intruder community, the Fleet Replacement Squadron and 8 fleet squadrons, filled the skies over Whidbey for 31 years. From the arrival of the first 3 aircraft in August 1966 to the decommissioning of the first and last VA-196 aircraft in 1997. From 1971, the Navy's Prowler, through the Navy's Prowler sundown in 2015, Whidbey's EA-6B squadrons provided electronic warfare support for the entire U.S. Navy and Air Force. Both of these aircraft are legendary in the history of naval aviation. It is fitting that Gateway Park, which is displayed both those aircraft, has become an iconic symbol of the incredible community-Navy relationship that is known as Team Whidbey, a legacy indeed. Each of you, who this letter goes to, volunteered to come to Gateway Park, and through your enthusiastic efforts, you are now part of the legendary NAS Whidbey Island Intruder/Prowler legacy. On behalf of the Intruder Association, some 1,200 members strong, and comprised of those who flew, maintained, and supported the fleet's main battery, I commend you and thank you for your role in preserving that legend. Thank you.
That's wonderful. That's the kind of thing we love to get. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Forward that, please.
Thank you again. That's great stuff. Thanks. Okay, so we are still in citizen comment period. Anyone else present that would like to comment? Okay, seeing none, we will move on then to our consent agenda. Staff has presented the listed consent agenda items, all of which were included in the meeting packet. I'd like to note that we may have I don't know that we have any appointed boards and commissions on it tonight. So any changes or questions regarding the consent agenda? If not, it will be approved as presented, okay? Looks like that's going to be the case. We'll go then to next item on our agenda, 5A, is mayor's comments. I'll begin with the Holland Happening. Got a nice compliment during our invocation, and I heard a lot of wonderful comments about this last weekend. The annual event was once again a great success. Our thanks to the Greater Oak Harbor Chamber of Commerce, police and city crews, and all of the wonderful volunteers who helped bring us this event. The chamber sent their thanks to everyone at the city as well. Several council members were cited participating, and I think we've got some photos. Wait, what's that? We've got Tim working. Okay. All during that time, Councilor Stuckey was not only involved, but he was controlling the drone, I understand, the city drone.
Well, Tim was driving us, so.
Oh,
So he
okay.
It would look bad if I was driving the car and flying.
Yeah.
did a wonderful job.
I think it might have.
5 stars on Uber.
It might have. Okay, next, Arbor Day. City Parks and Recreation and members of our administrative team were joined by the staff and students at Broadview Elementary, the Park Board, Arts Commission, the Garden Club, and the Oak Harbor Gary Oak Society to enjoy activities and plant trees at well site number 10 Park. Students have submitted entries to rename the park, so stay tuned. Yeah, that's great. Well site number 10 Park. Yeah, that needs a new name. I would totally agree with that. So we've got, next is the Whidbey Island Marathon. Had a great turnout and brought many visitors to our city. Thank you to race organizer Jared Lowranger and the city staff and volunteers for another great event. Whidbey Island Marathon. New business ribbon cutting. Join the chamber as they welcome new business Anchor Point on Saturday, May 6th at 6 p.m. at 951 Northeast 21st Court, Oak Harbor. The Oak Harbor Music Festival Teen Talent Showcase. The Oak Harbor Music Festival invites teens ages 12 to 18 or grades 6 to 12 to submit, excuse me, an audition video by Saturday, June 3rd. Winners will receive a chance to perform live on September 3rd at the music festival. You can see their website for more information, but that's Music Festival invites teens, ages 12 to 18, grades 6 to 12. Next, the city has openings on our Historic Preservation Board, our Investment Committee, Arts Commission, Planning Commission, and Salary Commission. Please see our website for more details. Displayed on screen are some upcoming events, including several from our Parks and Recreation Department at the Marina and at the Center. And so that concludes my comments, and I'll turn to council for comments. Yes, Councilor Munns.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to give a shout out to Sergeant John Venezuela, my neighbor, who's had a brain injury, got lost, and her family couldn't find her. She was trying to walk home, or decided on her own she should walk home and not wait for a ride. Anyway, the police department found her, and they made sure she got home safely. And we don't always hear about these little things that our police department does. So I want to be sure. Chief, please express gratitude for him taking the time to do this. So this was really good. The other thing is I received an invitation. I know that Councilman Shane Hoffmar did too. Jeffrey Thomas Hogarth had his court of honor, and it's always exciting to go to that. And I can remember in the years past that the city used to always, if they found out about it, would send them either a certificate or a letter or something, and I thought that was neat, and or invite them. But I wanted to say that was great. I'm glad that tradition is going on, and he is quite a gentleman on what he accomplished with his Eagle Project and stuff. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Bear with me, I've got a lot of comments. First, I want to respond to the couple of emails that we received about the encampment near Home Depot. The city is very much aware of the issue. The police department is very much aware of the issue, and I'll respond to the people that commented personally. But to address the criticism that the city leadership has been silent on this issue, the city leadership has been anything but silent. I just pulled up our 2023 legislative priorities, and supporting public safety and modifications to new legislation that impact our emergency service staff's ability to support the community is right there on our list of top priorities to go to the state with. So we've been very vocal with AWC, the Association of Washington Cities, in partnership with the county, in reaching out to our state legislators and letting them know how recent state legislation has affected law enforcement and emergency responders' ability to address problems in our community. So we're working on it, but we cannot, circumvent the law. We're doing the best we can with what we have, and we are working to get that law changed. So until that law is changed, there's not a whole lot we can do, which I realize is kind of a nothing burger answer, but just wanted to let everyone know that we're not ignoring it. We're doing what we can to encourage our state legislators to make changes, and some positive change has already been made. They've reversed some of the legislation, but we still have ways to go. So we are on top of it, I promise. And I want to send out a thank you to Tim, our audiovisual guy. He drove us in the car at Holland Happening. He was there at Arbor Day with his drone to take pictures of the kids. He's absolutely everywhere we need him to be. I don't think he's ever missed a meeting. So just wanted to thank you publicly for that. You're very reliable. Thank you. And I had the privilege of participating not last weekend, but the weekend before, in the Center's Wearable Art Show. They have an annual fundraiser that's kind of a combination fashion show art show where artists and volunteers create wearable designs, and the theme was Earth Day. And there was so much creativity in that room and on that stage. It was really an absolute joy to participate. Thank you so much. And I can't wait until we get all the pictures back, because I'm trying to describe some of these creations to people, and I can't do them justice. It was just fantastic. There was Duncan Chalfant created an entire Gary oak tree. He was a tree, and you could barely fit through the door. It was just amazing. Our parks staff had a whole, and it was just great. It was great. Thank you so much. Fantastic event. Arbor Day at Broadview Elementary was also a fantastic event. Those kids are so cool. And I'm glad that I'm not on the Parks Board and having to pick a name for the new Wellsite 10 Park, because there were some really good entries. There was a big list of some really good suggestions, and the kids are really looking forward to having that winner announced. And Holland Happening, the parade, the weather was amazing. And Sunday I went back and had a really good day manning the city's booth I got to spend some time with Mikhail and Sabrina, and we talked to people about water conservation and the active transportation plan, and it was just, it's been a busy couple weeks, but really fantastic community involvement. I'm always blown away with how involved our community is and how they really turn up for stuff, and they never hesitate to tell us how they feel, and it's a wonderful place to live. So thank you to everyone for solidifying that to me. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Yes, Councilor Wiesner.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to shout out to the Chamber of Commerce for putting on a great event over the weekend. Always great to get out, great crowds, and we were all talking, how many sunny Holland Happenings can you think of? And, I don't know, what is it, 40 years has been going on. I think we can count them on one hand, so fantastic job to the entire Chamber crew. And I just wanted to back up Mayor Pro Tem Heizon and what she said involving, the thing at Home Depot and city's actions. I can certainly attest that I took 2 days out of my day my week to drive down to Olympia and hand deliver, a message from our chief of police, who led a coalition with Skagit and Island County sheriffs, along with the chiefs of Anacortes and Mount Vernon, to make sure and deliver messages directly to our legislators in Olympia during legislation about how we need more support. And everybody sitting up here at this dais is certainly dedicated, I think, to the chief, and the chief knows that we're dedicated to give him all the tools that he needs to protect the community and protect his officers. And I know it's frustrating for the officers. I've been out with them on some areas where we've gone out into some pretty nice, not so nice places, and dealt with some pretty not so nice people, and I've seen what they've had to deal with, and their frustration about having to deal with some of the same things and same people over and over and over and over again. It's certainly not anything that anybody would relish, anything that anybody would want to occur. It certainly is it's a polarizing subject, but it is what it is, and I think overall our police department is doing an exceptional job. They have the same challenges other communities have, and yet we don't have some of the same issues that some of the surrounding communities have, and that's because of the dedication of our police officers. And I've seen them out there, day and night, walking through the same places, dealing with the same people over and over again, and I know it's frustrating to them. So, I just want to back up the statement. We are absolutely 100%, no doubt, aware of those situations, and we'll continue to do everything we can within the allowable state laws to support the chief and his officers to try and do the best job they can to protect the people in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Stuckey.
Yeah, public safety seems to be on the minds of a lot of people these days, and so it's on my mind as well. So a couple of thoughts, and our chief of police is very proactive, so probably already working on these things. But in regards to that encampment at Home Depot, I'm not going to give credit to the writer, but I didn't know about it. The Home Depot, the encampment, I did not know about it. I went down there the other day. It's kind of an out of sight, out of mind sort of a deal. I have a hard time believing we're doing nothing. Are we able to speak a little bit of what we may be doing as far as that encampment goes, Chief? Are we able to say anything?
Yeah, I could talk a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
So I think he's going to talk about a couple of
Oh,
items.
he's going to talk about, okay.
Let's get through comments.
Okay.
and- Yeah.
I guess my second thing, which is related, but he can answer when he wants to, is I keep seeing, we know that the drug laws are going to expire July 1st, and we're hoping that the state's going to come through, but it may not. I see over and over more cities creating their own drug ordinances, and I would love to have us do the same, or at least pursue those options. So if something does fall through the state, we can get on that pretty quickly. So I would like to get us on that bandwagon, and love to hear what staff could come up with. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Counselor Hoffmeyer?
Yeah, first of all, it's nice to see an almost full council chambers here. The public comment from Pastor Dean and from Mr. Munns, for the bit of history there that Larry gave us and the staff recognition. We live in an amazing place, and we have a lot of wonderful employees. Holland Happenings this weekend, my gosh, it was amazing. And just to see the council as active as it is right now, I thank God every morning for these 5 colleagues that I have up here. This truly is one of the better councils I've seen in a long time. And whether it was Holland Happenings this weekend at the parade, or whether it was Jeffrey's Eagle Scout Court of Honor, this is just, it's amazing to see the community out doing all these things and council representing the city. With regards to the police department and, with regards to the homeless issue, et cetera, Chief Dresker fully knows that, we have his back and the back of all of his staff. It was, I think, over a year ago when we first sent to Olympia, the help we needed with the legislation. And when we went down there in person, we delivered very stern messages on needing a fix for the Blake decision, for needing a fix with the pursuit bill. We got the adjustments to the pursuit bill, so that's a start. Let's hope that Blake gets through in the next month or so. But I did want to point out that with our 2 state reps and with our senator, they're helping lead the charge on that message. It wasn't something that fell on deaf ears. So let's just continue to hope that gets through. Like Councilor Stuckey said, is if there are local laws that would be enforceable and not break us, let's have that conversation as well. But Chief Dresker, we've got your back. Let us know what more we can do. And I know the issue there at Home Depot, I know you'd already been working on for a few weeks, and look forward to any updates you are able to give us on that. Thank you.
Okay. Counselor comments? Okay. That concludes our comments from City Council, and we'll now...
Mayor.
Yeah, let's do...
I don't know if you want me to, I'm not on the agenda. I'm here at the request of a council member to discuss those 2 items.
Why don't you do that now, if you don't mind? Are you
Whatever you want, Mayor. I
prepared?
just want to make sure I threw that in there.
Yeah, let's...
I'll keep it to 45 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
So since I'm here, I'm going to try not make this lengthy, but I am going to start off with a couple things. So Councilwoman Munns, thank you for the accolation or the recognition of Sergeant John Valenzuela. That's one of the things we do. Right before coming here, I was with 3 other officers at a bank where somebody was trying to pass a forged check, and there were 2 people there. We dealt with them. One person was taken into custody, also happened to have some white powder in a little envelope in his pocket. That's another thing we do. I'd like to thank Larry Munns and the Youth Sailing Club on Holland Happening. I keep wanting to say Apple Blossom from my old job, but on Holland Happening, I responded down to the marina on a report of a gentleman who took a life jacket, jumped in, and wanted to swim to Alaska. So the water is 48 degrees. You don't last too long in 48-degree water, and so I walked out on a dock, and luckily the rescue boat for the youth sailing group had picked this gentleman up who was, I suppose, swimming to Alaska. The gentleman has some mental health issues, and was shaking like a leaf when he came into the boat to the dock to me. And so we assisted him, and we very much appreciate it. That's another thing we do in the police department. So we have a cornucopia of things we do. We are the catch-all, end-all of things. We try to do those best we can. I'm not going to go too much into staffing. We're low on staffing. We're not bad, but we're developing new officers. So there's a lot of dynamics. So let's go right to the homeless situation. We operate on laws. We operate on case laws. We operate on Washington state laws and a whole host of laws and rules that we have to operate on. We are also compassionate people, like all of you and most of our community. So we try to work with and provide assistance that we can to help those in need. Unfortunately, there are some people out there who cause constant issues for others in our community. And so we have to deal with them sometimes differently. We do that, but we have to operate within the law. The camp at Home Depot, and I hate to say that because I don't want to put a stigma on Home Depot. This is not their fault. But that camp that's there is not the first camp that's been located in Oak Harbor. It is not the first one of that size. It is not the first one located hidden in a wooded area, which is what this one is. So we deal with those, and then it's like whack-a-mole. We got to go find them the next place they go, and the next place they go. When it's on private property, we have to deal with the business owners or the property owners. We do not have the right to just go in and take unilateral action. We have to operate with the person who owns the property or the company. So in the case of Home Depot, who we have a good relationship with, we have to do that. An additional problem that happens with somebody like Home Depot is they've got to deal with corporate. Okay? They've got to deal with their home offices. Once upon a time, they didn't do a trespass letter with us because corporate didn't want it. We now have a trespass letter signed with Home Depot, who owns the property in question. There's also 3 houses that own some property that kind of butt up to it, so it became a property issue, but we're pretty confident it's Home Depot. I first learned of this property last week. As soon as I learned about it, I walked in with 2 officers, and there was nobody in there because they'd already trespassed some people, and we went around the place. I actually GPS located it and sent it to my detective sergeant who came over here to look up property and all that. And then we contacted Home Depot. So the letters that were written are people who are frustrated with the situation that they see. There are inaccuracies in those emails. I don't think they're intentional, but there are definitely inaccuracies in those emails. So we have to operate within the means. We don't take things casually. Now, we also have 28 commissioned officers. You may get a different answer and some little respect from different officers. We got a lot of new officers. Over about 60 to 70% of our officers have 6 years or under in law enforcement. But they do a good job. We have a lot of things we have to do. To go into wooded areas and these types of areas takes a concerted effort to a degree. When I came out, I was splattered with mud, and I just went about my day with splattered with mud. It's okay. So we do take them seriously. I'd like to address, I don't want to really address the comments on me. Those are 2 emails, okay? But I would like to address the city council's role in what we're doing. In my opinion, there's no fear of any retribution to you folks for anything that's going on, because you don't have the responsibility of dealing with these issues. We do. Your responsibility is running a city and making sure that people like me and my people do a good job. You have done what I believe is necessary to support the police department in our endeavors. You've mentioned some of those things. I've talked to all of you individually. You show support, you show concern for the community, and I want to thank you for that. Okay? Staffing, at some point, we may have to talk about where we're at with that. I've already talked some with city administrator and the mayor to try to solve a little bit of that. We start to see a lot that is on our plate lately. So that may be something we talk about further, but that's not an excuse for anything that we're dealing with or not. This camp has not been in our headlight for a year. I don't believe it's been there for a year. I don't believe it's been there more than a couple of years. So we go and deal with these situations as soon as we can. Why? We don't like it any more than anybody else. Okay? We know what happens. So that's, I want to make sure I sum that up as succinct as I can, and I still got 30 minutes. But that's kind of in a nutshell what it is. We have to operate within parameters that are set to us by state, by federal guidelines, by city, by county, by our operational, by dealing with other people doing other crimes, and what we're in the know with, and working with private partners. Home Depot is working with us right now to deal with that issue that's there. And I'll tell you another problem that occurs is there is a lot of garbage there. There is a lot of garbage. And it stinks that the victim, in this particular case, Home Depot, is going to have a responsibility for cleaning that up. And unfortunately, the city can't come in and take care of it because it's gift of public funds. Now, maybe there's a solution that can be worked out. We've talked about it before, but that's something. We'll work with them as best we can to try to help them out with what they've got. So they are working on it. They're concerned about it too. So I'm going to end that. I'm going to address the narcotic issue. Okay? Is that all right? Okay. So the narcotic issue, as you all know, they ended the session. They were not able to come to an agreement. There are a lot of, you'll take one side and they'll tell you it was the other side's fault, and the other side, I have my own opinions, which I will keep to myself. And in the end, they didn't solve it. So as of July 1, drugs will no longer be illegal. Right now, they're illegal, but there's really not much bite to it. So I don't know of a city or jurisdiction within Washington State that is not working on an ordinance. I've got a copy of Snohomish's, I've got a copy of Spokane's, I've got Everett's, I've got Skagit County. I meet with their sheriffs and chiefs every month. I've talked to their prosecutor. So everybody's getting prepared to do their thing. Now, I was just told today, and I looked it up on news, Governor Inslee today announced that May 16th, he is calling legislators back into special session. So they're being called back. Special session lasts 30 days. They are going to be asked to come up with a law. Nothing says they have to, but I know there'll be a lot of dialogue again. So, you know, our city attorney, Hillary, has talked to me the day that the session ended. We've communicated with our leaders here, and we're prepared to present something to council. I know what I would like to see, but that's something we'll dialogue in the city leadership if it gets to that. And we may want to do that anyways. We may not want to sit and wait for special council or for their special session to come out. Most jurisdictions, I think, are preparing it just in case. We can't enact an ordinance that we want. It can't take effect until July 1. The current law prohibits a lot of things we would want to do. That expires July 1. So we'll probably have something presented to council or ready to present should the need arise. And that would make, if passed, would make it illegal to possess narcotics because they're out there. So that's in a nutshell. I think what I needed to address, what I was called up here to address. I'm open for questions if you folks want to do that.
Yeah, I want to make sure council has a chance to ask. Councilor Munns?
It's not a question, but I don't know if council remembers that June and July, we only have one city council meeting. And when you look at the list, I've seen Snohomish County, Marysville, Arlington, Lake Stevens, Sultan, Everett, and Linwood are almost ready, but the others already have a law on. And I'd hate to wait till the last minute, so I'd rather work on it sooner than later. Sultan, Everett, and Linwood are poised to do theirs. I didn't find Spokane, but I only had a limited time for research. But if those other cities around us, I just don't want to, depend on the legislature that we thought they were going to get something done. And we know how our citizens feel, and I think we need to stand up and do something on our own with guidance, if you don't mind, please.
So that's just exactly what Chief said we're doing. Yeah, we started this a while back. The staff did, and Chief, and Hillary. So it's not that we're doing it, nothing. We're definitely...
And Mayor, if I could, and that's, I think, one of the concerns of Governor Inslee and a lot of people is that if they don't do something, then there's going to be a lot of variety in ordinances and codes passed. I've got Spokane's and I've got a copy of Snohomish's, and they're pretty similar. I've looked at Marysville, looked at Everett, looked at some other ones, so there's a lot of different ones. It'll be easy for us, I think it'll be easy for us with our administrative team and legal team to come up with one. I personally like Snohomish and Spokane's. It's not reinventing the wheel, it's pretty straightforward. So I think we'll be able to get you something without a problem that you'll look at that'll be very clear, that when it's presented, if we have to do that, I think you'll be able to make a clear decision on, just from my input.
Thank you, Chief. Councilor Stuckey, did that answer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay,
I
thank
forgot about those one meeting in months too, so thank you for the reminder. I forgot about it. If we have to do a special meeting, I'm all for it personally. But no, thank you so much for coming out. When I think, maybe I'm making some assumption, people saying we're silent, I just think it's because it's something we don't talk about too often. And Chief, you've educated me that sometimes you don't want to give away every single thing we're doing for obvious reasons, so we can't be a total open book. But I think something like this, just a little bit of communication saying that we know this is what we're doing on a local level besides just going to Olympia, can be helpful for some folks that are frustrated and saying local leadership is doing nothing. So conversations like this, I think, are good. In regards to the local ordinances, if there's ever anything that we can do to pass on a local level that can make your guys' job, give you more tools, I think everyone on here would be all for it. I mean, I understand you get just some sticky things with getting against the state, and there's some things we can't do. We can't do everything we want to, but anything that we can do, any laws, ordinances to help make our community more safe, I think we'd all be for it. So I appreciate it.
And I'm not afraid to ask, so.
I know you're not. I know you're very proactive, and I appreciate you and your entire department, so thank you.
Councilor Hoffmeyer?
For the public that's out there watching, call your state legislature, urge a fix on Blake. Call Senator Musall, call Representative Paul, call Representative Shavers. Let them know that you don't want the state of Washington to turn into Portland, and ask them what other state reps and state senators you should call. They're going to help lead the charge on this, and I believe they will come up with a fix, and I'm very glad that we have a backup plan. Thank you.
And I'd like to say one more thing, unless somebody else has questions. I would caution people from going onto private property, and I don't care if it's somebody who doesn't have a home or somebody who does. I would caution people not to go on private property that they shouldn't be going on. And I would caution people, they can contact us. I would caution them to do that knowing that there's potentially like a camp in there, because you never know what's gonna happen or how that's gonna go. So I don't think we have too many, but we did have somebody. So I would caution that.
Council, anyone else? Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Okay, we'll go back to our agenda now, which is, we're on item number 7, I believe, which is ordinances and resolutions. 7A, Resolution 2310, authorizing the expenditure of Arts Commission funds for the mural wrapping of electrical utility transformers. And I think we have a presentation from our Parks and Recreation Director, Brian Smith. Brian?
No, you don't.
Oh,
I'm here to help represent Parks and Recreation
oh,
tonight.
okay.
And in place of Brian's presentation, we have J.R. Russell from the Arts Commission, and he is going to speak towards this project and read the resolution. Correct, J.R.?
Oh, I gotta read?
If you want to hear the resolution, I think that's usually how it goes.
Welcome, JR.
Okay. I feel like I'm on the Food Network and on Chopped, and I'm about to serve. I've got a delicious little appetizer here for you. A little background on it was we found out that Home Connections received a grant for basically a project, for an art project. And they took some of that money and they are wrapping 2 of the electrical boxes. And they're going to wrap it down on Pioneer and Midway. They still don't have it done yet, and it's a project that the kids are doing. And we thought as the commission, well, how many of those boxes are there? Well, there's 13 of them left. I'm like, well, what would it take to wrap the remaining boxes? And we did some math, and we figured out we could probably do this for $10,000. Now, I'm going to give you serve this little appetizer. I don't think we got the picture, but the first one there is the one that Home Connections is wrapping, but those are the pictures of the other boxes that are out there, and what we want to do is offer it to the schools and let the kids wrap the remaining boxes. I've already talked to several of the art teachers and a couple of the principals. They love the idea. Now, this is not going to happen overnight. Speaking on behalf of my wife being an elementary music teacher, and there are 32 days, 17 hours, 16 minutes, and 43 seconds left before school ends. So everyone is very busy, and they are counting down. So this is not going to happen right now. This will probably be a project that would go on through the summer and next year, and the art teachers can take this on. So I think that's all I have on the background, unless you want me to read the resolution now? Or do you have questions? I don't know. Yeah.
Before we do that, I want to make sure that we haven't gotten any input from our public
That's correct,
about
Mayor.
this item. Okay. So we haven't gotten any input from our public. Make sure that anybody that's here has an opportunity to speak, and I think JR's got it for the group that's here. Did you have something, Blaine?
I was just going to make sure you come a little closer for people can hear you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And so I think now, what would council like? Would council like just a reading of the recommended action or a reading of the resolution? Does council have a desire there? If not, okay, we're gonna test your reading and ask you to do the resolution 23-10, please.
I didn't have the -M part. Was that it? It was -M? Okay. Resolution 23-M. N. 10. Our commission chair, take two. Resolution 23-10. A, resolution of the City of Oak Harbor authorizing the expenditure of Art Commission funds for the mural wrapping of electrical transformers. Whereas the purpose and function of the Oak Harbor City Arts Commission is to foster arts and public art for the enrichment of the city and its citizens, further the vision of Oak Harbor as a vibrant and progressive community, and whereas the City of Oak Harbor Arts Commission has endeavored to find opportunities for placemaking and installation of public art for the beautification and enjoyment of visitors and residents, and whereas the City of Oak Harbor Arts Commission has identified 13 utility boxes as an opportunity for students in Oak Harbor to design artwork and wrap the boxes with, and whereas the Oak Harbor Arts Commission requests the City Council approve expenditures in the amount of $10,000 for mural wrapping of the utility boxes. Now, therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Oak Harbor, Washington, that the City Council authorizes the expenditure of $10,000 to fund the installation of the art murals on electrical transformers to be paid from OHMC Chapter 3.26 Creative Arts Fund, passed by the City Council and approved by its mayor on the second day of May 2023. Do I keep reading? Did I get to the end? Okay.
You did. Nice job, JR. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, JR. Thank you, Arts Commission. Therese knows what I'm going to say. We were just having this conversation a couple weekends ago. I remember going to an Art Commission meeting, and I think it was 2016 or maybe even 2015, and I brought a PowerPoint presentation and said, what if we painted the fire hydrants and wrapped the electrical boxes? And the Arts Commission, it took a while, but we got the fire hydrant part done, and that ended up being a little more complicated, labor intensive than we anticipated, so I don't think that got expanded further than Pioneer. But, when you say it's not going to happen overnight, boy, that's an understatement. But I really thank you to the Arts Commission. You guys, you have a long list of ideas. You've never lost sight of the things that you wanted to do, and because things are really difficult to pull off with a group of volunteers and a couple of staff members. And so, you make it happen. You make these things happen, and I cannot wait to see what our kids produce and the legacy that they're going to leave to our city. So thank you so much for not letting go of this idea and making it happen. I can't even tell you how happy it makes me. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilor Hoffmeyer?
I'm so glad Councilor Heisen brought up those fire hydrants. It's the little things like the fire hydrants or wrapping the electrical boxes that can make a big difference and beautify in a community. I was back working a campaign in 2011 in Greeley and Wheat Ridge, Colorado, and one of the two towns had the painted fire hydrants. And, Councilor Heisen will remember this. I requested a meeting with her back in 2011 in the mayor's conference room, and she made it happen. So to the people out there that don't think your council represents you, if you bring them ideas, they try really hard to make it happen. When Shipwreck Shores opened, to see that electrical vault be wrapped and to have the kids be part of that, to see that come together in the few days before that facility opened, for our city administrator and staff to make that happen so fast, to see that idea turn into this years down the road, pretty amazing. JR, thank you for your service and for everybody on the Parks Board, or the Arts Commission. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilor Wiesner?
I love this. So therefore, I move to approve Resolution 23-10, authorizing appropriation of funds from the Creative Arts Fund in the amount of $10,000 for the utility box wrapping.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion in 3 seconds. I'll give it to Councilor Munns, the second. The motion reads exactly like the recommended action in their packet. If there's no other questions, or I will ask for a show of hands in favor of the motion. And that passes unanimously, so we don't need anything else. Thank you, JR. Fabulous job. You can come read to City Council any night you'd like. Careful what I say, right? Well, be good.
For the record, I almost made it to Alaska.
Okay. Well, thank you again to the Arts Commission, and thanks for coming here. And great thing. Thanks. So we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, which is 9A, I think. Approval of potential 2023 Rural County Economic Development Fund grant. And I think we have this being presented tonight by City Administrator Blaine Oborn. Blaine?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Oak Harbor City Administrator Blaine Oborn here to give a presentation on Rural County Economic Development Grant application. We just received a notice not too long ago, so this is a speedy process here. Only about 3 weeks the county gave us in doing the application. This is an annual process. If you can kind of go to the next slide, please. So this kind of, I'm not going to read it or go into too much detail, but you can certainly see the kind of the purpose of this special funds that the county receives that needs to be used for economic development here. Next slide here, just to refresh a member, we have you're remembering here, the Mariners Haven Boatyard purchase is a grant we received. That's the last Rural County Economic Development Grant, and we're still in the process of completing that purchase to utilize that $675,000. Last year, we applied for the Hiller and North 16th Avenue Road Extension. We were not awarded that, and then also before that, we brought another option to the county, was extension of sewer up from Goldie Road on Gun Club and up onto Oak Harbor Road. The counties are the council's input was that to focus on Goldie Road rather than first, rather than doing that sewer expansion up Oak Harbor Road. So moving on. So rather than just throwing out one or two items here and maybe get shot down, I thought I would shoot with a shotgun here and throw a lot of things here. So throughout, and I had to prepare this real quickly, and I've had a lot of time to do some vetting on these projects since then, talking to staff and really narrowing it down. And so I think the The recommendation is council to pick 2 to 3 out of this project here, out of these various projects. I can go into them, but for just brevity, I'm going to recommend the items that I recommend is the marina dredging. I'd like to expand that to possibly include some possible improvements that are needed for the marina. And then the center parking lot remodel. And then also the pickleball courts is pretty timely here. The studies in the last 5 are probably not very viable. And then the Facama Road, we've already been rejected on that one before. Goldie Road, after doing some discussion with the Public Works Director, I don't think we're ready to go into that project there. So narrows it down. So it's kind of a good thing that I had a long list here because I think was able to get some viability out of it. So I'm here to answer any questions, and then finally, you would make a motion and then include in that motion the 2 to 3 projects you want the council, the city staff to go forward with. This is due by April 16th, the application period. Like I said, this was a quick turnaround.
Not April, right? Not April.
May.
May.
May 16th, May 16th, thank you for straightening me out there. May 16th, so our council meeting's on the 7th, so we only had about only this one meeting, so that's what I apologize for having to do this very quickly. And then rather than do the applications ahead of time, it just made sense to vet it with the council, and then staff can, within the 2 weeks period here, can go ahead and make sure we get those applications done by May 16th, so I'm here to.
Before we take it to the council, I'd like to make sure that we've got no input from our public.
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay.
We received no input.
Okay, it's been published, so we'll bring it back to council and start with Councilor Stuckey.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's interesting that the top 3 I was looking at, that I would recommend were the top 3 you're talking about. My only question is regarding the marina dredging. Is there, let's say we get the marina dredging grant, which would be awesome. Is there a time frame that has to be used in, or we lose it?
It's 2 years, and then we can extend it another year, and that's what we've done with a project we had right now. It's on its first extension, and you can ask for it again. So I think we can go ahead and give them the time frame that we're going to use it, and make that part of the application process there as defining when we expect to do the project.
Okay, yeah, because I think the pickleball court, as you said, awesome, the center, awesome. My only concern, again, was that marina dredging. That's a big dollar amount, and I would hate for us to apply for that, get it, and find out we can't use it, or we don't have the money to complete the rest of it, or something like that. So that'd be my only hesitation with the marina dredging one. But all 3, I think, are the most noteworthy.
Councilor Wiesner?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I agree exactly with what Councilmember Stuckey said. As long as we can work that out in the time, I think those are the 3 hits on this list. I'm not too thrilled about spending somebody else's money on another study. And the only other item, I guess, on this list, I would say that, we might want to just talk about quickly is the industrial park water tie-in. What's that about?
It's on our capital plan there, so I don't have a lot of detail on it, and that's one of the reasons why, after talking to the Public Works Director, I decided to pull that one, and something we can look at in the future.
Yeah, I think it's a small enough deal, but yeah, I just know that the county has helped us with these RCD grants with some of the water line run out there on Goldie Road as a economic incubator, and I just don't want that momentum, I guess, to stop, right? I mean, we know that is the industrial area of our community. If a industrial manufacturer wanted to come here, that's the place we would want them to go. And then we need to make sure that we have, the infrastructure in place to handle that for when that happens. That's part of the being proactive, right? Rather than having the train come run over us. So let's stay on top of that, and maybe we'll get together, you and I, and discuss a little bit more. But certainly the marina dredging, that is an economic driver. That's what these grant funds are designed for. I would just as soon stay in the realm of what they're designed for. It's designed to help vitalize the economic development for the citizens of our community. And so let's stay in that wheelhouse. Certainly, the marina dredging does that for us. Certainly, pickleball courts, ever since we started talking about it again, everybody's talking about it again, you know how that works, right? But I do see that as something that, people will travel for, or when they're here, they will stay and enjoy. The senior center, I'm okay with leaving that on there. I think Councilmember Hoffmeyer's did some working when we were back in DC for a possible other source of funding for that we could use maybe as a backup. But I'd certainly, the marina dredging, that's huge, and that would be a huge assistance to the city, and the marina certainly is an economic driver. Thank you.
Yeah, and what I would like to also just note there that we haven't developed these projects, so there may be some modification of the scope a little bit and modification of the amounts.
Councilor Munns?
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I would put the marina dredging, there are very few grants that you can apply for, and this is one that we can't, and it seems to not ever receive funding, and it's strictly on the back of the people who happen to have a boat there, whether it's for 3 months, 6 months, or a long time. And it is very, very expensive and gets more expensive every year, but that is an asset our city has, and only Des Moines is another city that has that. So I think that's top priority, and the other two are fine. So thank you, Mr. Oburn.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I've got a top 4, the marina dredging, the pickleball courts, the center parking lot, and the Goldie Road water tie-in. The Goldie Road is kind of that's a lower ticket item, so I don't know if we just want to throw that on as a 4th one, but those would be my top 4 from this list. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilor Hoffmeyer?
Yeah, there's certainly a concurrence here with the top 3, and I think, staff is really good at onboarding that information and get in there, and council gets better and better at giving that direction. In multiple conversations with all of our county commissioners, I think sometimes there's a wish that we had the same attempt to get concurrence with them ahead of time. So with that, I would say it kind of feels like when we shot down the sewer out on Oak Harbor Road, I think we missed what the county's interest was possibly. Because I was asked by a couple of commissioners, why did you shoot down the one project we would have funded? So
You mentioned that.
I guess I asked that, is it worth dusting off that old project as well, if that's something they are really needing? That's just one counselor with a question.
Okay, Councilor Marshall.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, Mr. Oborn, I have that same question. I'm in favor of these projects as presented. The concern that I have is what lens they're going to be evaluated through, because on the slide that you have the RCED program, it says that it's for public facilities that stimulate private capital investments that increase the number of ongoing family wage jobs available to local residents, retain or expand businesses within Island County, attract new businesses that create a family wage job. And I'm just not sure how some of these projects are going to filter through this lens in order for us to get some of those funds, but I do look at our capital improvement plan and some of the projects that I think would qualify. And the first one is the North Whidbey sewer expansion, and then the Harbor East outlet, the Industrial Avenue tie-in, and there in Park, Maine. Those are things that I think would help stimulate private businesses, because right now what we're talking about is pretty much helping the city, helping the municipality. And I know that Marina is absolutely economic development. And obviously I feel like sports is an economic development, but I don't see how this is going to be helping a business per se. And that's if I'm reading this correctly, if that's the lens that they're looking at it through, then I'm concerned that we're going to get rejected on some of these projects. Thanks.
So we know historically they have funded park projects in the past. So they've been a little loose on that, but you're right, that's why I gave it here. I mean, the better they fit, but we've had good projects that we really felt fit and county didn't like it. So, and then history-wise, it took it 2 times for the boatyard purchase. The first time they didn't like it, and we kind of tweaked it again and came back. And so a lot of these things are going to be ongoing every year. We just kind of keep on asking on. Councils will, certainly staff is willing to reconsider and bring forward the North Oak Harbor Sewer Extension. We got the application approved, did it last time and had it approved, and then the input from the council was to not go forward of it. So certainly we'll follow the view of the majority of the council. If you want to add a 4th or take one of the ones off and do 3, I think I'd probably like to keep it to 3, but we can expand it to 4, especially since that one's already been prepared. And like I mentioned, some of the other ones that was talked about here, the Goldie Road Industrial Park water tie-in is just really not ready to go after talking we need to do a lot more study on that one, but something I think certainly we'll talk about. And anything in that North Whidbey that helps to bring in industrial really fits that criteria and are really viable. But, they've been known to do some of the other park projects too, so figure why put them in there. And that's part of the reason why it's that, well, instead of just going with 1 or 2, let's go with 3. And then that way we got a better chance of getting something that they like. And last time I did lobby for the 2 items that we have, and the item that they like was the one the council didn't like. So we end up with this kind of disconnect sometimes here. So my thinking was to go wider rather than narrow this time and increase our likelihood of getting funded.
So,
And Blaine, I can speak to the utility projects if you'd like.
Yeah, if you want to speak to the Goldie Road Industrial Park water tie-in, our Public Works Director.
Yes. Thank you so much. Council, do you just want a quick briefing on both of those projects, both the sewer and the water?
Yes.
Oh, great. Yes, I think that the key issue is a couple of things. One, if council wants to move forward with that, we will make it work. But there are some issues. Doing these types of projects creates, there's a lot of permitting and design issues. And so these are nowhere near our priority list for things like completing 7th Street, doing Commerce and Rick Larson's I&I project where we got a federal earmark. First time there's been, earmarks. It was last year, but it's been 10 years. So we would really need to sit down with you and talk about priorities and what gets done. And so I just want to add that to you. There's a lot of disconnect between these. There's very little design to any of these projects, or kind of ideas, and they don't necessarily, the 2 ends of the railroad don't necessarily meet together. So we have to, I want to say start from scratch, but it would be like starting from scratch. Thank you.
Councilor Munns.
Thank you. Mr. Schuler, the extension of the sewer, do you have an approximate cost? Is it within the limit that we can ask for, or is it actually going to be over the limit and we would have to come up with more money? Or Mr. Oberlin may have it. Thank you.
I can answer that. It's in your packet there. 5.5 million is what we estimated what we would do. Our plan was to ask the full amount, and with that project, we could just build what we have budget for and take it in phases. So that's what we'd plan. We would start off with probably the Gun Club Road and get as far as we can go with the amount of money the county has. They have $3 million allocated. My guess is they're probably going to allocate about $1 million to the airport. I expect that to be part of the application from Coopville. You never know what the other municipalities are going to put in there. And then certainly they have a fund balance, so the county can look at that too. So they don't always award every year. So that kind of gives you an idea of the likelihood of doing that. So we wouldn't expect them to do the full project, but our plan was, as we put it forward, is just saying we'll fund we'll build what we have the budget for and take it in phases.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Munns, if I may just add a little bit to that. Just so you understand that, let's say we did get $1 million, I'm pretty sure, my strong guess is that would not all go toward construction. There would be a large share that would go to pre-design, permitting, and design before we even got to construction.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Look, I'm just going to look to my peers for head nods or whatever before I finalize this, but I'm considering making a motion to authorize the submission of the grant application for the marina dredging, the pickleball courts, and the North Oak Harbor sewer expansion project. Is that, we feel like that's kind of the general consensus for the top three? Yeah? No? Okay, I'll defer.
Councilor Stuckey.
Yeah, I'm going more for the senior center than the other. But that being said, I wouldn't be, I mean, it's majority. The other two are spot on, I think, so.
Councilor Wiesner.
You know, I mean, Counselor Hoffmeyer actually, hit on an important thing, and, sometimes, we sit up here and say, oh, gee, gosh, we all ought to talk to each other and all ought to work together, right? And then we don't even do it, right? Have we asked the county if there's anything that they would like to see on this list?
I have not. I think they'll just tell us to put in the application. I mean, the application's there. I certainly can have some conversation. That would be nice. The last time we had more time to do the study, so I was able to have some conversation with.
I mean, I think it's an important
and do some lobbying
I
ahead
think it's
of
an
time.
important question to ask. I mean, right? It is. We are working together on this, right? And it's easier to push a giant cement ball on a flat piece of ground rather than up a hill, right? So if there's something that the county's interesting working together on us with and using these funds for, I'd certainly like to hear that. I think the concern I have with the sewer project is, I mean, that's now $7.5, $8 million worth of grants we would be applying for in a year, where we know we're capped at 3, and sometimes you got to be careful what you wish for, right? You may get the marina dredging, which is kind of important to us. It's a pretty big capital expenditure that may get tossed aside in lieu of something else, or we may find that we get a little bit of money for each of them and none of it's enough to do any of it, and then we've got to figure out where to come up with the money to be able to actually claim the money to be able to use it. So I guess I'm a little concerned with going in with an $8 million request when we know they're working with a $3 million pool that's probably only got $2 million left in it. I know that didn't help, but you asked, or somebody asked. So you got it.
Councilor Marshall.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to point out there's $450,000 in unsecured budgeted for the North Whidbey sewer expansion, $100,000 in fiscal year 2023 and $350,000 next year. Then the remaining is already coming, it looks like, well, part of it's out of system development fees and then the rest is unsecured. So we've got a couple of years worth of funds that we have to generate and spend before we're even ready to do the full expansion. So we don't have to ask for the full amount for the North Whidbey sewer expansion. Only really the first 2 years of unsecured funding, which would be $450,000. And we could do that with the marina dredging, and we could do the pickleball courts and still come in under $3 million. So that's just my thoughts. Thanks.
Good observation. Thank you. So, Mayor Pro Tem, are you ready to make a motion?
Sure. I'm not sure to ask for 3 things or 4 things. 4, go for it. Okay, I move to authorize submission of a grant application to Island County for the Rural County Economic Development Program for marina dredging, pickleball courts, the center parking lot, and the North Oak Harbor sewer expansion.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. A motion by Mayor Pro Tem. I'm sorry, I've got to turn my mic on. The motion that we have on the floor is by Mayor Pro Tem Heisen, and that is to, she has the motion is to authorize submission of a grant application to Island County for 4 different items: marina dredging, the center parking lot, the pickleball courts, and the North Whidbey, I want to make sure I say that right, sewer expansion. So that motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Councilor Hoffmeyer. Any other questions? Or yes, Councilor Munns?
If we do the expansion of the north sewer line, I really like the idea of Councilman Marshall with the $450,000, because that sounds more palatable, and I think that's a good, yeah. So I'd like to have that amount
Okay, so
in there for that.
I think Councilor Marshall is suggesting a friendly amendment to the motion.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to clarify that we're only asking for the 450,000 of the sewer expansion, not the entire thing, because I too don't want to scare them away by asking for 8 million. That we're only asking for this first portion, the 450,000.
So the friendly amendment suggestion, I guess we need.
Second.
Okay, we have a friendly amendment in a second. The amendment was made by Councilor Marshall, second by Councilor Wiesner. Any questions about that? We'll vote on that first. All those in favor of the amendment signify by raising your right hand. That passes unanimously. So then we'll go back to the motion as amended. Does anyone want that reread? No need to? Okay, then all in favor of the motion as amended, please signify by raising your right hand. Okay, that passes unanimously too. Well, thank you, council. I worried about this when Blaine and I first started talking about it, and he can tell you that it went a lot better than I thought it was going to.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, we'll go on then to our next item, which is item number 10A, Fire Department Annual Report. And I believe we have our Fire Chief Ray Merrill for this presentation. Okay, Chief Merrill, welcome.
I don't need one, thank you. They're really good, though. You got a bunch, so thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight, I'm here to talk about the annual report of the Fire Department. You're probably going to hear me brag a little bit about the fire guys. Not that I normally do. This is something really new for me this time. But I want you to know we have an outstanding fire department, and we have some very dedicated individuals, both on the career staff and on the paid-on-call side. And I'm always happy to give the annual report. Mayor, I think you said I had an hour this time, because last time I had an hour and a half, and you wanted me to cut it back? Yeah, cut it back. Cut it back?
Please cut it back.
I'll do my darndest.
Okay.
First thing I've got to do, of course, is, as you know, I don't put all this together. Angela Bronstein does all this work, and as we've seen over the years, she does fabulous work when it comes time to put these kind of reports together, the abbreviated version that you all got in your mailboxes today. But I've got to thank her, because I say, Angela, it's time to do the annual report. And she goes, okay. And then I just get back and get out of the way and let Angela take care of the annual report. And then I get to get up here and really look good presenting what she did. So if you ever, when you see her, if you think about it, compliment her on her work, because it is fabulous. So, boy, that went up quick. Which version have you got?
The PDF version.
Oh. Okay. All right, well, we're not going to get quite the drawings that we would have normally gotten. But to take a look at some key metrics, if you can find the other one, it's a lot more impressive. If you can't find it, that's okay. We can certainly ad-lib into this part.
It was coming up with a bunch of errors.
Oh, no. I know when I ran it this afternoon, it ran perfect. Yikes, who's that bald-headed guy? That looks like the one. So we know our department's been serving the city since 1929, and we take a look at some of the metrics that we've talked about over the years. We know the city's grown up to 9.7 square miles. When I first got here, it was 3.1 square miles. So there has been an amazing amount of growth that's taken place. And we're looking at about 24,000 population, 24,000. We protect $2,974 million worth of property is what we protect on an annual basis. And our calls per capita, 16.43. We're going to see how our call volumes have changed a little bit over the years. And as you know, we were re-rated in 2022, and we did maintain our Class 4 rating. After talking to Survey and Rating Bureau, and their words were, if your response times weren't quite so high, if you had some additional staffing, and if you had a fire station in the southwest quadrant of the city, there's a good chance that this would be a 3. Well, by golly, we're going to have a fire station in the southwest quadrant. We've added additional staffing. We're going to reduce our response time, so I anticipate seeing this come down, and we're going to ask for a special reevaluation, which we talked about with Survey and Rating Bureau, when everything is done. So it could be a potential savings on insurance ratings for our taxpayers. And unfortunately, during 2022, we did have one fire fatality. A senior lady did pass away at a fire. So we take a look at our calls for service. Last year was 1,504, which was a 1% decrease from the previous year. But yet from 2018 to 2022, we've had a 16% call volume increase, just in calls alone. And we're going to see a drastic increase already in this year. We're about 15% ahead of where we were last year at this time with call volume today. And I just want to talk a little bit, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to stop, and because I'd be happy, you know me, I'd be happy to sit and chat about it forever. But we did have 59 fire calls last year. You can see we had 14 structure fires. We can see the breakdown of the cooking fires, vehicle fires, trash and grass fires, and other. So what's the other fires? Anybody want to throw a guess out there? Just think of the ocean, the water, the driftwood that comes up on the beach. So we had some driftwood fires down on the beach last year. So that would be our extra calls. And we did have 5 explosions with no fires. A couple of sparkler bombs that were made. We had some kids playing with some, we have a good idea what the materials were, but they were trying to make some pipe bombs. And you have to understand my staff. When we go out to investigate fires or we go out to see these kinds of things, Chief Buxton, Captain Anderson, like to order the same type of material and see if they can replicate what was made. And they do a darn fine job at it. Our medical calls, as you know, we have a contract with the hospital to respond on incidents with the hospital. You can see we did 574 incidents assisting the EMS crew. We do get reimbursed about $130 per call to come back into to offset our costs. We did provide it to the hospital 43 different times on CPR calls. So if it was a major incident, we would send more people to the hospital with the ambulance. You can see the number of motor vehicle accidents we had last year, 141. We did have a fatality motorcycle car accident during 2022. You may have seen about it in the paper. And you can see some of the other stuff that we've responded to on medical calls. On our hazardous conditions, natural gas leaks, gas and oil spills, carbon monoxide calls, and some severe weather incidents. And I'm not going to go into all the details. We do a lot of service calls. As you can see, we did 146 to assist invalids. That's helping somebody get from a wheelchair to their bed, or from the car to the house, or from the living room to the bathroom. They call because they have nobody else to call, and our guys go out and assist. You can see our public service. We've gone on water leaks, some unauthorized burnings, just different projects and stuff that we do. False alarms, unintentional. You can see that holds pretty consistent, about 135 calls a year. It's unintentional because the system, they burnt popcorn, they burnt something in the stove. The system worked, but not for the necessary intended purpose of why it should have gone off. It's an unintentional. We had some malfunctions of some systems. We did have 15 malicious calls where somebody physically, maliciously pulled a fire alarm just to mess up the school. And we had some carbon monoxide calls as well. Good intents, we were canceled and dispatched 54 times, some smoke scares. We didn't find anything, dispatcher errors, citizens' complaints. That's kind of our breakdown of our calls for last year. So one would ask, when's our busiest month? And I would say December. And does that hold consistent every year? No. We have no rhyme or reason on what's our busiest month versus our slowest month. You think because February only has 28 days, it's going to be slower. It bounces from year to year to different months. You can see that nighttime, 34% of our calls come in from 1900 to 0700, and 66% of our calls come in during the daytime. Our busiest day last year was Wednesday, and our slowest day was Tuesday. Can we correlate that to anything? Absolutely not. It just doesn't matter when somebody calls. This is a big one for us, the overlapping calls. 222 times last year we had 2 or more calls going on at the same time. A case in point today, at lunchtime, we had 2 calls within 4 minutes of each other. So we're going to see a change come 2025. So let's take a look at our performance measures, and this is really what this is all about, is how do we do? How well are we as far as our response time? Our average overall is 5 minutes and 11 seconds. So one would ask, why is that so high? One would ask, why is that so high, Chief? Why is that so high? Oh, well, thank you. So you probably know that we do respond mutual aid to the Navy base. We respond mutual aid to North Whidbey. We respond mutual aid to Central Whidbey. So if our ladder truck is going to Coopville, that all is included in this overall average response time for every call we go on out of that 1,500. 5 minutes and 11 seconds is our average overall response time. We see that that's been a 42-second increase since 2018. What do we attribute that to? Longer response time, longer area to respond to, multiple calls at the same time, all plays a role in our response time when we calculate it. Our fire calls, 4 minutes and 14 seconds is the average citywide. As you know, the council has established years ago 5-minute response time. NFPA 1710, which is the professional standard for the fire service, says you should respond in 4 minutes with your first 2 engine company. We hit 4 minutes and 14 seconds last year. And again, the council established 5 minutes years ago. Our travel time, we made that meet the minimum requirements 88% of the time, and our turnout time, we meet it 50% of the time. And our turnout time is 60 seconds or less from the time of the initial dispatch. So we hit it 50% of the time. And you're going to say, well, why is that so, why only 50%? Well, at 2 o'clock in the morning, everybody's sound asleep, the alarm goes off. There are some natural bodily functions that have to occur before you put your bunker gear on. So you make a stop before you go out the door. Our medical calls, 4 minutes and 25 seconds, the average response time. Council did set 4 minutes years ago. And we're at 4 minutes 25, our travel time 81%, and our turnout time 49%. Our travel time is a little bit slower because we do go on some of the medical calls without going with code with lights and sirens. It just depends on what the hospital has asked for. It's a priority response or a non-priority response. So that would affect our travel time overall on medical calls. So taking a look at our performance measures when we break it down into quadrants. There we go. You can see what happened in the northwest quadrant. 15% of our calls are up in the northwest. 6 minutes and 21 response, 6 minutes, 21 seconds of response time. We did have six fires in the northwest. 3 of those were structure fires, and you can see the breakdown of the call volumes for the rest of the northwest quadrant. Southwest, 6 minutes and 4 seconds. 29% of our calls are in the southwest quadrant of the city. 16 fires, 3 of which were structure fires. Northeast quadrant, 25% of our call volume, 4 minutes and 15 seconds. 14 fire calls, 3 of which were structure fires. And then, of course, the southeast quadrant, our lowest response time, and 32% of our calls in the southeast quadrant. And you can see the entire breakdown. And all this information is in the handout that we provided to you. So we talk about community risk reduction. What does this really mean? We're having troubles here. So we take a look at our commercial occupancies, and we looked at 1,031 total commercial occupancies in the city. Now that includes multifamily residential, businesses, strip malls, those kinds of occupancies. Our fire and life safety inspections, wow. It's a tool for us and the business owner. We get to get in the buildings, look and see what safety is being done or not being done. Look at some potential hazards. We do pre-incident planning when we go to all of our occupancies. So we have an idea what's stored inside of them and what are going to be our hazards that we could see. And by doing these inspections, of course, gets insurance rates down on commercial properties. Being that Class 4 rating helps our business community. It's kind of just bouncing in there. So we had 92 vacancies, 884 inspections were completed last year, 81 re-inspections, and we spent over 482 hours going out and do life safety fire inspections. It's good for the business owner and it's good for the fire service. When we first started doing commercial life safety inspections, we had a lot of resistance from the business owner because the first thing they thought of, it's going to cost me money. And over the years, we have turned that around to where I'd say a really good majority of the businesses welcome us into their business to take a look around, to make sure they're safe, that they're meeting the fire code requirements, and we try to find ways to get to yes. How can we make your business as safe as possible? We can see what kind of our inspections, our common violations, blocked or locked exits, fire extinguishers that are expired, alarm or fire sprinkler systems that are required servicing, addresses not being posted, and fire lane maintenance. That's the big ones. We take a look at the permits that were issued. As you know, the city went to that llama program last year. We are part of the llama program. Hats off to David Kuhl and his group for getting that program to us. It took a learning curve to go from what we were very comfortable with to a new computer program, but it's really paying off and it's worked out well for us. We did 10 new occupancy inspections, and we issued 42 permits last year. Boy. 17 on the fire alarm, 6 fire sprinkler, 6 hood and duct. We decommissioned 2 oil tanks. Fireworks stands, we did 4 of them, plus 2 displays, and 5 miscellaneous inspections. That was what Chief Buxton was doing last year. Are you moving them for me, or am I still doing it?
I think for some reason when you do it, it goes black, but when I do it, it just kind of flickers.
Okay.
So I'll read your pacing.
We'll keep on moving. So we investigated 16 fires last year. And you can see how that broke down. 7 were combustibles too close to the heat source, smoky materials, a mechanical issue. We did have 1 arson last year. We did actually have 1 undetermined fire, but out of the 16 fires, we were to get to the cause and origin of all but 1 fire. As you know, we've got 6 certified fire investigators on the department, and we are part of Region 3 Arson Task Force, so we do go to San Juan. We go up and down the island to assist other agencies doing fire investigations. Our fire loss for the year was $352,000, and our property loss, the property was $235,000, the contents $117,000. So hydrants, you happened to speak about hydrants earlier. Mayor Pro Tem and I had a couple long conversations about painting of fire hydrants, and I remember she came in one day and she goes, "Chief, I got an idea and I think you can make it happen." I think that's pretty close how it went. Yeah, and she said, "Can we paint fire hydrants?" And my first comment was, well, no. And then she said, "Why not? Why can't we?" And we talked back and forth, and you see what's going on Pioneer Way, and that was our test cycle for painting the fire hydrants, and it's worked out very well. But we do go out and inspect fire hydrants. You can see the number of fire hydrants throughout the city. We did test 911 fire hydrants for 228 hours, and we can see all the stuff that we take a look at. We find the problem, then we send it off to the water department to repair it. They paint them, they maintain them, but we service them annually. As far as training goes, I'm hitting the arrow to the right. All right, let's back up. Let's try, because we bounced forward quite, there we go. So we provided almost 1,300 hours of training available. Total personnel, a little over 5,400 hours of training to all of our personnel throughout the year. We do provide training to the public. We do CPR classes, first aid classes, one a month at no charge to the citizens. We do host the infant car seat checks biannually or bi-monthly with Safe Kids Northwest. And we do go out to different areas where the senior citizens go or live and do smoke detector batteries. I'm not sure who gets a bigger kick out of this, if it's the people that we come to visit or the firefighters when they go and visit. They usually come back with plates of cookies. We've had pies, we've had cakes, but the intent is we want to go out and change the smoke detector batteries and keep the senior citizens off the ladders so they don't fall off the ladder. And some of their smoke detectors are 14, 15 feet in the air. We'd rather go out and replace it for them. And it's just a public service that we have done for quite a few years, and it's one we enjoy doing. And of course, you know that we are very active in community events. One of our big pushes is we want to be a part of this community as much as we can be. And you can see all the different certifications and recertifications our folks got last year. We really maintain our certifications. And you know that we did have a live fire training exercise last year on a house on Ely Street. You can see the burning that we did have there. You can see all who participated, all the different agencies that we invited. And the folks that were there. And then there was these two. And one of them came out and looked at me and he said, "I never realized it was so hot." And I think he also said that Lieutenant Hafner kept me out of trouble and kept me from getting burnt because I think I might have. I think that's pretty close to what you said. Something close there. But this was a good time, and I think you guys, I hope y'all got something good out of it.
I think I did get burned, and I think Lieutenant got really burned.
He may have. He may have. But this was a good training exercise. We enjoy getting acquired structures because it is absolutely the best training that we can get to put our firefighters into a relatively controlled environment. And you can just see the results of our fire from that day. So we did create one career lieutenant that we're paid with ARPA fundings through 2024. And of course, that will change in 2025 because that will then be paid out of the levy that was passed. We did hire 5 paid-on-calls, and 5 of our paid-on-calls moved on to other places, got transferred out of the military, just moved on. So give you an idea of our staffing levels, the years of service. Out of our 55 firefighters, you can see the amount of time Less than 5, there's 23, and greater than 20, there's 11 of us. When we take a look at our career firefighters, 3 of our folks have got less than 5 years on the fire department. Nobody between 5 and 10 years. 10 to 14, we've got 3. Nobody between 14 and 20. And 20 plus, there's 6 of us old-timers with more than 20 years in the fire service in the city. And we can take a look at the way the paid on call comes out. As far as less than 5 years of service, 21 years, or 21 people. Greater than 20 to 24, or 34, there's 5 of them. And with that, there's 35, there's 3 that's got 35 or more years as a paid on call firefighter with the city. 54% of our department has got less than 5 years in. And that's not uncommon in a paid-on-call volunteer organization. So, as you may have heard, we had a fire service levy last year. We did form a political action committee to support the levy. We promoted that levy from February of 22 through November of 22, which is a pretty true statement, but I think you all remember for the last 10 years I've been talking about putting a fire station in and moving forward in that direction at some point in time. We did do a lot of presentations around the community to drum up community support, and we went out and talked to the Lions and the Rotary and the Chamber of Commerce and other city civic organizations throughout that year. We held 3 open houses, and we provided information on the website and social media sites. So as you know, it went out to vote. We had a 61% vote on the levy lid lift. That was approved. The one we were concerned about was a general obligation bond. We needed 60% to pass, a supermajority, and we ended up with 62.6%. That one was approved. And I can't thank the citizens of Oak Harbor enough for supporting their fire department. I mean, this is a big win for the department, especially when you see other departments not getting levies passed or getting bonds passed. And to go out and ask for 2 at the same time was a risky move, but it paid off. And I cannot thank the citizens of Oak Harbor enough. And they really stepped up and supported us. So we did some open houses. We had lots of turnout, lots of folks that came into the open house. They had lots of questions about who we were, what we did, and why did we do what we do. And of course, looking forward, we're in the starting stages of acquiring the property and the design features of the fire station to get ready to move forward with the construction. We keep the levy and the bond information out to the public. We update them frequently on social media and maintain where we're going. Let the public know what we're doing at this point. There's kind of a lull right now because we are in the design phase of the fire station. We're going back next week to do the finals ordering of the engine and the quint, get all the pre-construction conferences done next week. That process will begin. We've made an offer on the property. We're moving forward on that one. So there's a lot of little pieces that are happening, but you don't see a lot of it yet. And we continually provide information on what we are doing. Again, we're going to be working continually on our strategic plan. It's not a one and done. It's a living document that changes every year. And we continue our partnership with Island County Department of Emergency Management. And with that, I kept it under an hour.
Thank you, Chief.
I'd be happy to entertain any questions you may have.
Council? Any questions? Councilor Stuckey?
Just one, I was looking at the breakdown of your department personnel. I'm noticing you have more captains than lieutenants. Is that just because you have so many people have been doing it for so long and they were promoted because of that, or?
You want a long answer or a short answer?
I want an answer that's within
That answers
60
the
seconds.
question.
Yes.
So the reason being is our captains work what's called a modified Detroit system in order to provide coverage at night, command coverage at night. So they work a 24 on, 24 off, 24 on, 24 off, 24 on, 96 off. So it takes 3 captains or 3 positions to fill that modified Detroit scheduling system. The 2 lieutenants, one is assigned to A shift, one is assigned to B shift. When we go to staffing 24/7 with 3 shifts, then we'll have 3 lieutenants, 3 captains, as well as the firefighters. So that's why there's the difference between right now the lieutenants and the captains.
Anyone else? Yes, Councilor Hoffmeyer.
As always, amazing job. You're incredibly gracious and supportive of your staff, and I know they and council is of you. So thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Anyone else? Okay. So from the mayor's chair, I'd like to say thank you. You've been a great chief to work with. You've been patient. That can that you kicked down the road got into the ditch a couple times in the last 7 years. I want to thank you for your patience. But most of all, I want you to go back and tell your people that we thank them every day, every night, every minute that they're working for us to keep us to be one of the safest cities in the state of Washington. You're a big part of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate it. Okay, we'll go on to item number 10B, Transportation Benefit District Annual Report, Finance and Performance Analysis. I think we have Chaz maybe here to help us, but we certainly have our city engineer, Alex Warner. Alex, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and
Good to see
council
ya.
members. Yes, we'll be co-presenting. Chaz will be covering the financials to start, and I will talk about the paving effort. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and grab the screen here. All right, can everybody see that?
Yes, I think so.
Yes?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, good evening, Mayor, council, and staff. I am Chaz Webster, Finance and Performance Analyst, and as Alex mentioned, we'll both be presenting the Transportation Benefit District 2022 Annual Report. And I will go ahead and share the first 3 pages, and then Alex, just let me know when to move the other slides forward, but I'll begin now. In May of 2018, City Council adopted Ordinance 1835, which created the Oak Harbor Transportation Benefit District. In July of 2019, City Council passed Resolution 1916, putting the initiative on the November 2019 ballot, asking citizens to adopt a 0.2% sales tax increase to fund local road improvements and to preserve and maintain the city's transportation infrastructure. The ballot measure was approved by the voters. On April 1st, 2020, the city's sales tax rate increased from 8.7 to 8.9% for a period of 10 years. And the estimated revenue would approximately be $987,000 per year over the 10-year period. As a note, on July 1st, 2022, the Island County sales tax was increased by 0.1% to 9% for housing and related services. Oak Harbor Transportation Benefit District funds provide improvements of local streets within city limits. There are approximately 148 lane miles of streets in the city limits. 103 lane miles are local streets. The Street Saver Management Plan analyzed the existing conditions of Oak Harbor's roadways and generated a list of deficient roads and appropriate levels of preservation. To review a list of projects and see potential impacts to neighborhood streets, please visit the following URL. The Oak Harbor City Council oversees the Oak Harbor Transportation Benefit District. TBD business is conducted with a regular City Council business at City Council meetings held on the first and third Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. The City Council as of 2022 is listed below. The 2022 financial summary is as follows. Beginning balance as of January 1st was $1,475,982.01. Revenue collected, $1,192,952.85. The expenditures, $1,138,301.23. And the ending balance was $1,530,633.63. So that'll wrap up my part of tonight's report. And then Alex will take care of the remainder.
I know these maps are a little difficult to see, but if you follow with me here, we've got the map showing here is the paving effort we did this last year in 2022. It was a very successful paving effort. All of those roads there are local streets that were either chip sealed or overlaid, all paid for by the Transportation Benefit District. If you go to the next slide, please. So here's the list of those streets. I won't go through them line by line, but overall, we chip sealed or overlaid about 8.5 lane miles of local streets. We have approximately 100 lane miles of local streets. The TBD is for a 10-year length of time. So if we do 10 lane miles every year, theoretically we'll get done resurfacing all local streets within that 10 years. I will say that's a little bit of a lofty goal because some of the streets that we're going to be seeing in the next several years will require full reconstruction. They won't be simple chip seals, so it's going to take a lot more money per lane mile for those treatments. But for this last year, again, the total project cost there was within 5% of the revenue that was generated. And again, I see that as being very successful because our priority here is turning the taxpayers' money into new asphalt on the street. And there were several factors for why we got so close to that revenue number this last year. The first couple of years we were ramping up our paving effort, getting a new process under our belts. This last year was designed and managed completely in-house by our engineering group. Previously, we had partnered with Island County, so by doing that, we had more flexibility to modify paving limits and add roads as we saw we had opportunity. Next slide. So for this coming paving season, we have the project awarded to Craig Construction by the City Council at the April 18th City Council meeting. And we are looking to pave the neighborhood up along Northwest Columbia Drive. So you can see on the map there, these are going to be all overlays. There will be no chip seals applied this season, but we do estimate the project cost of this to be between $1 million and $1,050,000. That work is going to begin this summer. We're having a pre-construction meeting coming up in the next week or so with Craig Construction, so I'll have a better idea for schedule after we can discuss that with them. Next slide. So here we have shown the streets that we chip sealed in 2022. There was an item of work that wasn't completed due to the weather turning. We need to have it warm and dry to be applying these asphalt treatments. So we are going to be partnering again with Island County for the fog seal of the chip seals they did for us last year. And again, that was already approved by council, April 4th, City Council meeting. We are looking to We're being told by Island County that they're looking to do this work in August, so towards the end of summer, and we'll send out notices as we get closer to those dates and firm them up. So that's the paving that we've done and the paving you can expect to see. Thank you, Council and Mayor.
Make sure that council's doesn't have any questions. Councilor Stuckey?
You know my question.
West Whidbey? Yes, we are going to be opening bids for the West Whidbey Avenue utility and pavement project this coming Tuesday.
So that's independent of this?
Yes, that is paid for by the Arterial Overlay Fund.
Okay.
And we have a Transportation Improvement Board grant that is going to be covering most of those costs for us, which is great to have. And we cannot use the TBD money on that street because it is classified as an arterial.
Sure. And my second question is just for the public who say, why is that street getting done but not my street? In a nutshell, what criteria do you use? Is it the ones that are the worst off, the ones that are most traveled? What do you use as a criteria when you're deciding?
Well, yeah, great question. We had a consultant come in several years ago before we went to the ballot, and they rated all of our roads with a pavement rating index. And, you know, it was just a spider web of various pavement conditions. So in order to get, constructability, feasibility, reduce the cost of mobilization, we took the approach of focusing on a quadrant of the city each year. So southwest, southeast, northeast, northwest, and then also refining down some of their pavement treatments they're recommending to, we have a chip seal, which in some cases might be a little bit more than what they recommended on certain streets, but just from, a quantity, economy of scale, it made more sense to apply either a chip seal or a grind and overlay. The third treatment we have is a full rebuild. We haven't done any of those yet, but those are needing additional funding. So, we built up about 1.4 million in the reserves, so we're going to be going out and doing those full rebuilds soon. So that's a brief summary of how we're analyzing the streets. And, I know there are some streets one block over that aren't getting paved, or they're getting a chip seal instead of an overlay, but there is some method to how we're considering those treatments.
Councilor Hoffmeyer?
I know these projects are right in your wheelhouse, so it's pretty cool to be able to watch you show off on these a little. I know I'd thanked you a few weeks ago for doubling back with the county to get these chip sealed roads fog sealed. Thanks to the county for being willing to work with us on these as well. That's pretty cool. But a quick shout out to the roads department who were willing to paint the roads last year, knowing that they're going to have to paint them again this year. So as somebody that's done, similar work, I know that can be frustrating, but make sure to give them a big thank you.
All right, will do. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Alex. Nice job. Okay. Then at this time, the council will move into executive session to consider the selection of a site or acquisition of real estate by lease or purchase per RCW 423110 1B, and to consider the sale or lease of real property per RCW 423110 1C. The anticipated duration is 30 minutes. Action may or may not be taken upon return to the open session. Executive sessions are not open to the public. So we'll move into executive session at this time. 30 minutes. Yeah, by the time we get in there.
Same score?
You have to start on the third period.
Amen.
So what's the score? 4-2, correct? We're up.
I'm gonna give you bunny ears on camera.
Just put it on the center one right here. We're gonna extend this session.
I still don't know if I found my
No, I
friend
just feel
Barbara
like
yet.
DNR has used us in Des Moines for their, whatever little money projects they want to because they can.
Yeah.
And I just,
Yeah, it's frustrating to me. I'm not in really good terms with it.
So, City Council of the City of Oak Harbor has come out of executive session. It is 8:30 at this time. Regular meeting May 2nd, and it's 8:30 PM. Notifications were made in executive session. However, we do have a short presentation from our harbor master, and so to follow this up.
Hello, Mayor, Council.
Hi, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm here tonight to talk to you about Mariners Haven and to give you an update as to what we've done and where we're at in the project, and then I'll have a motion at the end of this. So Mariners Haven is located at the south end of our launch ramp parking lot. It's the area in yellow. You can see that the bulk of it is gravel boat storage area with 2 buildings and then a cement area in front. There are 2 DNR leases involved in this, as well as 1 piece of fee simple property. Parcel A is a DNR lease and Parcel B is a DNR lease. Then in the upper right-hand corner, you can see where it says Class Fee Simple Property. That's involved in this deal as well. The Kloss family also owns the lease for Parcel A, and Mariners Haven owns the lease for Parcel B. Once we finalize this, then we'll assume the leases. So Mariners Haven is currently an existing business. At one time, they were a thriving boatyard, well-known for gram banks, and did boat repair, electrical repair, maintenance, storage, haul-outs, the whole thing. Now they've just kind of digressed into just a storage yard for boats. As we look at purchasing this, we believe that there's some real redevelopment and growth opportunities there. We believe that it'll give us the opportunity to increase our dry boat storage, which may be very important as we redevelop the marina and reduce the number of small slips. We'll need to be able to store smaller boats on the shore. We'll also be able to offer new repair and maintenance facilities other than just storage. It'll really turn us into a full-service marina. Boaters come from all over the place to have their boats worked on, and they typically arrive a day or 2 early. So we'll generate guest moorage off of the boatyard as well. And then it'll increase revenue for the marina in general and create jobs. And jobs are a big part of this with our RCED grant that's funding this. The jobs that we anticipate creating are 1 or 2 right out of the gate. If we do it ourselves, or if we go in a different direction, there could be more jobs. So where are we at in this whole purchase process? So far, we've negotiated a purchase price, and that would be a purchase price for the Mariners Haven piece as well as the fee simple piece. So it's the whole area that was in the yellow box. That includes everything that's there, the buildings, the truck, the trailer, miscellaneous boatyard tools, and equipment. We're currently working on the terms of the purchase and sale agreement, and hopefully in the next day or so, we'll open escrow and be depositing the earnest money. So how are we paying for this? A few years ago, we went to the county and we received an RCED grant, Rural County Economic Development Grant, for $675,000. So as we look at the purchase price of this, the bulk of this is being paid through this grant. This is not money coming out of marina funds or city funds. This is money that was granted to us a few years ago. We do have to put a match with it, and that match would be about $75,000, bringing the total amount of money that we initially had to work with to $750,000. So what have we done so far? We've had the property appraised, the buildings appraised, we've had a business plan completed, we've done the phase 1 and phase 2 environmental studies, we've had the buildings inspected, and everything's gone fairly well so far. We still have some more environmental studies to do and some more building repairs and building examinations to do as we move forward with this. So tonight, I'm here to seek a motion to authorize the mayor to sign and execute all the necessary contracts and documents for the purchase of Mariners Haven Boatyard, with the addition to extend the feasibility contingency date and period of examination to November 1st. Be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. I'll just turn to council at this point. We don't have any public left here. And any input or questions? Yes, Councilor Weiser.
I'd be happy to make the motion. I make the motion to authorize the mayor to sign and execute all the necessary contracts and documents for the purchase of Mariners Haven Boatyard, with the addition to extend the feasibility contingency date and period of examinations to November 1st, 2023.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and second. Reads exactly like the suggested motion here in front of us. Any other questions or input? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Sublett, and thank you, council.
Thank you.
Getting up against our time limit, actually. Any other comments or business? I understand the Kraken are ahead. So I think I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, got a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? We're out of here. Thank you again, council and public. Thanks for watching it.